Okay, so I'm just about to make a video, post a few videos concerning whether or not Christians can be demon possessed or have demons. So before I upload those videos, just a small clip, and I plan to get into a longer version, make a longer one later on. I want to clarify what I mean when I say demon possession. So, when I say demon possession, I mean the demon is indwelling us, is inside the person, and for the most part, influencing or controlling their action. We are heavily controlling their actions. Although, apparently, as we see in the story of Legion, like the guy who was possessed by Legion, apparently, people who are demon possessed can retain some degree of free will, but for the most part, the demon has control over the physical body. Okay, and you read the story of Legion, like the guy who was possessed by Legion. I will post a scripture reference in the description of this video. I do not remember them offhand. And then, just look at everywhere in the Bible where Jesus is casting out demons. And look at the way the demons manifest. Look at how the demons acted and stuff. Look at the stories. Okay? Everybody knew that they were demon possessed. It was obvious. Okay? Okay, so you also have to look at another story in Matthew chapter 17, verses 14 through 21. The guy's son was demon possessed, and he was asking Jesus for help. Another place, I don't remember the exact reference, but it's in the context of children is deliverance is the children's bread. This Gentile woman was asking Jesus to help deliver her daughter who was demon possessed. So, now, it was obvious. So, demon possession is obvious, and everybody knows about it. Okay, like nobody can be demon possessed and not know it. Okay, it's impossible because people who are demon possessed, they're gonna know it. They are often tormented by demons, and they will often experience paranormal activity. People who are around them might even notice paranormal activity, even if they didn't know that the person was possessed. Okay? I've studied the paranormal, like researched the paranormal for probably over 10 years, maybe going on 13, 14 years, I don't know. It's like from a biblical perspective, all this time. And even before I got saved, I was interested in the paranormal. I had this curiosity about the paranormal. And I've been saved since 2007, so 16 years, and I've been watching the paranormal documentaries ever since then, like even before that, and ever since then I was watching it to study, the paranormal from a biblical perspective, to kind of know how to recognize demonic activity. Okay? So yeah, that's what I was doing. So now I was doing it for years, and I'm noticing a pattern. Demon possession, true demon possession, is obvious. Okay, and many of the people who were demon possessed, they didn't know what to do about it. Okay, and sometimes even a local church in their area that they went to, they didn't know what to do about it. Okay, so there's that. So whenever you ask the question, can a Christian be demon possessed? Look at the story of Legion, the guy who was possessed by Legion. Look at every account in the Bible where Jesus cast out the demons. You ever seen a Christian, like a professing Christian, act like that? Okay, so that's what I mean. The demon is indwelling the person. The demon is heavily influencing their body, controlling their body. for the most part, although they seem to retain some degree of free will. Okay? And we notice the guy who was possessed by a legion ran to Jesus, possibly to ask for help. But obviously, he wasn't able to ask Jesus for help because the demons wouldn't let him, or whatever. And the demons felt tormented inside of Jesus. So, if the demons had it their way, they would have ran away from Jesus. Okay? So, yeah, so I want to get into the topic of, I wanted to clarify the difference between demonic possession and demonic oppression or influence and oppression, okay? So possession is when the demon is inside your body and controlling your body. Someone who is demon possessed needs deliverance before they can be saved. Because they just can't get saved. The demon's not going to let them get saved until they get deliverance. If they try to get saved, the demon will manifest. So the demon will interrupt, so you have to cast out that demon first. That's another video I'm going to post in a couple of days. Okay? Another video that I'm planning on posting, possibly right after Easter. Okay? So, then there's demonic influence and oppression. So you have to learn to recognize the difference between influence, what is demonic possession versus what is demonic oppression. Okay? So, apparently, a lot of deliverance ministers don't know the difference between possession and oppression, which I find that to be very strange, considering that some of them has possibly been doing deliverance for decades. And so, yeah, it's weird. Okay, so, yeah. So demonic oppression, on the other hand, is when, okay, before I get into oppression, I need to get into influence. Yeah, demonic influence is when the demons are planting thoughts, seeds in your mind, emotions in your mind, and the fiery darts of the enemy. Whenever you look at what that is, in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 16, where it says in the armor of God, where it talks about the fiery darts of the enemy. The fiery darts, when you look that up, are an intense pang of emotion. So, and then you look at, I believe, 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses, I think 4 through 5. I have to double check that. Where it talks about, the weapon of our warfare is mighty for pulling down strongholds. So we look at so a stronghold is a mindset. And even if you go back to Ephesians chapter 6, think about verse 10 or 11. It talks about putting on the armor of God to guard against, that we may be able to withstand the wiles of the devil. Or I think some translations would say trickery of the devil. And so, again, it's all about deception. So influence, so demonic influence is when these demons are planting thoughts, or emotions on you. And often they are attacks. Okay? So possibly something like inspiration to maybe not do something that's not necessarily sin in and of itself, but it's definitely a distraction from God, or it's definitely going to lead to something harmful. Okay? Like influence, like the idea came from God. Like the devil planted an emotion on your mind, possibly to take advantage of a weak emotion. Like, okay, the devil, for instance, whenever you're mad, and all of a sudden you have a thought pop up in your mind to go and you know, beat up the guy that made you mad, or even worse, he's that guy who made you mad, or whatever the circumstances is. You thought that thought is a temptation from the enemy. It's an idea. Or other thoughts, when you start to feel like a loser, a wimp, a nobody, and if you feel worthless. Okay, again, that's it. And the more you go along with these influences, these thoughts that property which can be to sin or something negative about yourself or whatever the case may be, and the strongest gripping you become, and it eventually becomes a stronghold. It eventually becomes oppression, which I believe is a very high level of influence and thought. So oppression is when the demons is controlling your thoughts, your thought patterns, which influences your behaviors. Okay? See, it's possession is from the inside, oppression is from the outside. Okay? So these spirits, so oppression is when the demon is basically manipulating your thought patterns. And that is a high level of influence. It started off as a minor level, and you kept on giving into it, and became stronger control. Deception is at the root of it all. Deception was the open door, and you buying into that deception, and you end up becoming trapped. You're trapped in the spiritual bondage and cycles of thought patterns and lifestyles, and thought patterns and habits that you cannot seem to break free from. And it can even be, a negative emotion, stress, anxiety, or whatever, like feeling negative about yourself. And again, and it could be, a strong like you have a sin in your life that you can't seem to break free from, no matter how much okay, you can't seem to break free from it. Or these habits that might not be sin, but they are sort of destructive. Okay, or maybe they're at least a distraction from God. Okay, so the more you commit a sin, the stronger its gripping you become. So the more you buy into these deception, these thoughts are from the enemy, the stronger its grip on you become. Yeah, okay, so demonic oppression is heavy influence. It's when the demon is basically manipulating your thought patterns, which leads to bondage. Which leads to behavior patterns, which leads to spiritual bondage. There is a high level of the demon manipulating your thought patterns and influencing your behavior. It's a high level of influence. Okay? It's oppression in the sense that the demon is your taskmaster. Okay? I noticed that a lot of deliverance ministers, they talk about a spirit, what I'm going to call a spirit of fill in the blank. And whenever they name that spirit, it sounds like a spirit of influence. And what I mean by a spirit of influence, it is the spirit that is behind that influence. Yeah, like a spirit of religion, for example, that's the spirit that's behind the mindset, the thought pattern of a religious mindset, of thinking. Like, that's the demon that's behind it, okay? Okay, so, yeah. That's what a religious spirit is, okay? Like, It is the spirit that is behind it. These are influential spirits. It is the spirit that is behind the behavior, the thought patterns, and all that. It is the spirit that is behind those thought patterns that they are having, which could also be attacks. It is the spirit that is behind their bondage, their strongholds. It is the spirit that is influencing their behavior by manipulating their thought patterns. Whether it's a spirit of fear, a spirit of religion. So whenever you have someone, and that's when someone is acting like a modern day Pharisee or a Sadducee. That's what I mean by a religious spirit. So a spirit of religion is the spirit that is behind that type of behavior pattern and the thought pattern and influence. That's the spirit that's influencing that. Okay. So that is the spirit that is behind them, behind that thought pattern, behind the attack, behind the oppression. Okay. So I call them and I believe that there are two categories of what I call a spirit of fill in the blank. Okay? One is a spirit of affliction, and whatever the name is, that's what the affliction is, and the other is a spirit of influence, and whatever their name is, that's what their influence is. I do not know if these are spirits that specialize in that kind of influence, or if the person already had some degree of whatever their influence was, like if it started out in the flesh, and it became an open door for a spirit to come in and take advantage of that, and it became a stronghold. Yeah, so I do not know if it's this thought pattern, if these spirits if that's the assignment, if that's what these spirits are. If that's what they specialize in doing, or if the said negative emotion was the open door, and the spirit just amplified, just took advantage of what was already there and fed off of that. Okay? So I believe that there is a spirit that is behind those mindsets. Because possessions from the inside and oppressions from the outside. Okay? So, this begs the question, well, long story short, can a Christian be demon-possessed? Okay, so when you look at how a Bible describes demonic possession, when you look at how the Bible describes demonic possession, and when you read about legion, when you read Matthew chapter 17, 14 through 21, every story, every account where Jesus cast out demons, like how the demon acted, you have to ask yourself, have you ever seen a Christian act like that? Have you ever seen a demon exhibit those types of behavior? You ever seen a Christian act like that? Okay, so there was a difference between possession and oppression, okay? And if somebody who only does deliverance on Christians, they will never or rarely see true demonic possession, because mostly what they're going to be seeing is demonic oppression, if anything at all. Okay, they're going to be seeing demonic oppression, and demonic oppression, it's not going to be obvious that their thought pattern and behavior is demonic, because it's just not going to be obvious, because they seem normal. It looks normal. It looks, because I'm saying, like, it's not going to be obvious that they're under the influence of a demon unless you know what signs to look for. Okay, those are the spirits that like to hide. Okay, those are the spirits of influence are the ones that hide. Okay, whereas demonic possession, like those kind of demons, it's obvious. They don't hide. Only spirits of influence hide. And possibly spirits of affliction. Okay, because once they get exposed, and I believe that, and that's something else I want to talk about. I believe that a Christian needs to be living such a holy life that just their presence exposes demons. Because Jesus' presence alone has made demons manifest. It exposed demons and caused them to manifest. And to manifest means to be revealed or exposed. Okay? So, yeah. So, I'm going to review. Demonic possession is when the demon, for the most part, has control over your body. Although, based on what we've seen in the story of Legion, the guy possessed by over 1,000 demons, you do retain some level of free will. Okay? So you're for the most part, but not quite under the complete control of a demon, possibly like 95% or something under control of a demon. Yeah. And the demon is inhabiting your body, okay? Demonic oppression is from the outside. The demon is controlling your mind or manipulating your mind and your thought patterns, which is influencing your behavior. Or rather, it's heavily influenced because before the demon gets to that point, they're just planning thoughts. So it's sort of like being spiritually brainwashed or something. So there's planning thoughts in your mind. And the first level, it's just, depending on what it is, like thoughts or an imagination, like a seed, it's best to just dismiss it. Because if you go along with that deception, that seed, that thought, it's gonna gain an even stronger control. It's gonna happen again and again and again. And pretty soon, the demon that's behind it is going to be like a taskmaster, a slave. Like, I believe that is what oppression is. It is heavy influence, where the demon is like a taskmaster, ruling over you by constantly planning these thoughts, these emotions. You know, in manipulating your thought patterns and influencing your behavior through that way. So yeah, I want to explain what I believe is the difference between, the biblical difference between possession and oppression. That's it for this video. Bye.